What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, fantastic afternoon, fantastic pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hasan Piker, and this is the Hasanabi broadcast coming to you live from sunny California, Los Angeles, folks. We're live and alive. And I hope all the boys, I hope all the girls, and I hope all the MBs are having a fantastic one, because today is a beautiful day. Today is a wonderful day. Today's a fantastic day. It's 66 degrees here and sunny in Los Angeles, California, folks. And I'm live and alive, and I hope everyone's doing a great time. Having a great time. There's a lot going on that we have to talk about, including the Dalai Lama, who apparently is being canceled. The Dalai Lama has apologized after a video emerged showing the spiritual leader kissing a child on the lips and then asking him to suck my tongue at an event. Wait, I'm sorry, what? I thought he was just asking to like hug the kid. That's how I read it originally. Wait, hold on one second. I didn't realize it was like that, bro. The Dalai Lama is fucking canceled. There's even videos of him asking. Whoa, dude, I thought this was some Catholic shit. Yo, trigger warning pedophilia. Oh my God, the rap TV emojis go crazy on this subject matter. The Dalai Lama issues apology after asking the child to suck his tongue. Whoa! Oh, this is why I go to Rap TV for all my favorite news, man. Oh my God, dude. It's so fucking gross. Bro, wait. He notes app apologized? Bro, he did fuck with Nixium, remember? Oh my God, this goes crazy. Oh yeah, this was hilarious. So the Dalai Lama tweeted, I saw the Dalai Lama tweet and Felix's reply to it. I didn't realize it was like that. I didn't realize it was like asking a child to like suck his tongue. That is way different, because I saw this. This is good PR, by the way. These motherfuckers are good, dude. A video clip has been circulating that shows a recent meeting when a young boy asked His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, if he could give him a hug. His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as his many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused. His Holiness often teases people he meets in an innocent and playful way, even in public and before cameras. He regrets the incident. Oh my Lord. I gotta fucking quote tweet this. I will show you the video in a second. He's just doing the Tom Brady thing, dude. Hold on. Oh my God. What the fuck? Hold up. The Dalai Lama is canceled, bro. He is so canceled. Holy shit. One second. People replying unfollowed to his tweet are hilarious. I just want to point something out to you guys. Okay? I want to point something out to you guys, but the Dalai Lama did actually fucking, endorse Nixium, the sex cult. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that was many, many years before that shit happened. This shit happened. So it should maybe come as no surprise to any of you if you are familiar with the sex cult Nixium and what the Dalai Lama gets into. Seems like they had that tweet cooking just in case. The fact that you recognize the status quo in this country is homophobia and are still willing to call Austin a bottom derogatory says a lot about your values and allyship to us gays. You basically call them the F slur for content. True. Very uncharitable. Asani actually endorsed them because they cure his ADHD. Wait, this is actually the Dalai Lama, right? With the Nexium sex cult guy, right? I don't want to fuck this up. This is real, right? I'm going to tweet this. Okay. That's not Jared Leto, bro. That's the reason. Also, low-key, that's the reason why I stopped growing my hair. I'm not even kidding. I think like one of the biggest reasons why I stopped one of the biggest reasons why I cut my hair was literally because of this. I'm not even kidding. No, you had curly long hair. The cult leader look is with straight hair. It doesn't matter. With the glasses, it still did look kind of fucked up. Okay, one second. This is not some bullshit AI, right? Like having the Pope do this kind of thing was too on the nose. No. Seeing if you're trending, the fuck is going on? I'm a racist. There was another shooting. We're going to talk about that as well. Something is wrong with your camera. It keeps focusing on the background. Yeah, I know. Hold on. Yeah, we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about the Rutgers faculty striking as well. Trigger warning, pedophilia. We're going to be talking about the Dalai Lama. Y'all thought the Catholics were rising up because it's Easter. It turns out the Dalai Lama himself is also rising up. And what I mean by that is he's taking a book right out of the Catholic Church, okay? He's taking a page right out of the Catholic Church's book, the good book, the Holy Bible, okay? Turns out, I saw this tweet earlier today and thought maybe it's not that big of a deal. I was wrong because the Dalai Lama's account was grossly misrepresenting exactly what went down. We'll look at the E1 podcast thing in a second. But basically, the Dalai Lama came out of the gates swinging with a PR notes app apology. He said a video clip has been circulating that shows a recent meeting when a young boy asked His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, if he could give him a hug. His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family as well as his many friends across the world for the hurt his words may have caused. His Holiness often teases people he meets in an innocent and playful way, even in public before the cameras. He regrets the incident. Now, when I saw this, I thought, what a weird thing. Like, why are people mad at him? He just hugged a kid? I don't understand it. And perhaps that was the intention. That's the reason why they grossly misrepresented the actual situation at play. Okay? It's not that the kid was asking for a young boy hug from a young Dalai Lama. He was playfully asking for way more than that. Trigger warning, pedophilia. Dalai Lama calls up a minor boy, kisses him on the lips, and asks for a tongue kiss like he's Tom Brady. Also, notice where he takes the boy's hand. This is disgusting and appears to be a case of child molestation. Turns out, it's more than even Tom Brady.
Edsa, my tongue.
Okay, that's wild. I mean, is this a mistranslation? What the fuck's going on? The 14th Dalai Lama owned 8,000 kilograms of gold, 500 million USD, 6,000 serfs, and slave boys. It seems like this Dalai Lama needs to get his fucking money up, not his funny up. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah? The previous Dalai Lama had 6,000 serfs? That's only going to make me grind harder. Okay? Bro, why do you say that in English, dude? What the fuck was that? What, like, here's what I don't understand. Like, is this like I don't know, is this a cultural thing? Do people suck each other's tongues? I don't know. Don't get mad at me. I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't know. I'm trying to be like as open-minded as possible. It looks nasty as fuck. It looks insane. Are we maybe applying Western morality and etiquette to people of other cultures? Maybe in their culture there isn't a sexual connotation when kissing someone on the lips. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking, but he said it in English, and he said, suck my tongue. Here's the original video. That one was dubbed.
It's a question.
The Dalai Lama offered excuses for kissing a child on the mouth and asking him to suck his tongue. They should criminally prosecute him for sexual abuse of minors and for being depraved, a degenerate. I am not going to make any assertions further on this until I hear from the number one cuties fan on the internet, Sneeko, until he defends the Dalai Lama, simply stating that that's a normal thing to do. I'm not going to make any assertions on this. I'm waiting for Sneeko to come out of the gate swinging to defend this one too. Inevitably, I'm sure it will happen. Okay? I love how Sneeko is the groundhog for pedophilia. It's Groundhog Day, baby. And Sneeko's back. The 14th is the current Dalai Lama. Apparently, they did own 6K slaves and serfs until democratic... Wait! This is the Dalai Lama that had 6,000 slaves? Now he can't even go about sucking a child's tongue without getting canceled, dude. You know, capitalism, not so great, huh? Western capitalists, not so great. Well, actually, if they had their way, Dalai Lama would still have slaves, I suspect. This is all the CCP, Communist Chinese parties doing, stopping him from, doing what he wants to do. Cancel culture, it's probably a Chinese communist propaganda to cancel the Dalai Lama like this. That's right. I found the angle, boys. I found the angle. Izzy is known for avoiding combat in his title defense fights. He is extremely boring. Alex was a child laborer and an alcoholic as 12 years old. Powhatan is the true heir to the middleweight throne. You don't know UFC, little bro. Don't speak on it. Bro, first of all, I know this part. I think that is like actually very unique. And I think that that's like very, that's very interesting backstory. It's just that like I simply am stating that Alex doesn't have like the showmanship. That's all I'm saying. Wait, what the fuck? It is Tibetan tradition to stick your tongue out as a greeting, and the English isn't his first language. The insinuation here is gross. Wait, for real? So what's up with that? So like what? Are they sucking tongues left and right? Like I'm confused. Why is this guy defending asking a child? Probably worth reading. Suck My Tongue, the Dalai Lama video controversy explained. Brother, I'm not going to lie. Okay, this reeks as doing a little bit of cover up for the Dalai Lama. I'm sorry, but it's fucking feels a lot like, you know, people are engaging in a way that just try and make it like, if that was the case, he probably would have fucking said that in an apology. That's a good point. He'd be like, oh, it's just a common Tibetan greeting to, you know, have your tongue sucked by a child. In Tibet, sticking out one's tongue is known as a traditional greeting, stemming from a 9th century myth about an unpopular king with a black tongue. When the king died, Tibetans began revealing their tongues to show they hadn't become his incarnate. Yeah, I think like you know, you can stick your tongue out to be like, you know, I'm chill. It's a little different when you're like, hey, can you suck my tongue, please? That's wild. That's like Elon Musk saying calling someone a pedophile is not defamation. It's just a South African cultural reference point. How many times is he? Why? Who else? Who else's tongues is he sucked on? Or asked to have their tongues be sucked? Yeah, the tongue thing is a greeting. Nothing to do with sucking tongues. LA Times from 1997 about the greeting thing. Yeah, I think, guys, I'm going to be honest. I think the Dalai Lama just wanted to have this child suck his tongue. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but this Dalai Lama guy, he seems kind of wild. Okay? Like, I don't know if you can hit the, wow, you're being culturally insensitive right now line here pretty hard. It's like the Vatican can't get away with that shit. You know what I mean? Sorry, Sweaty, you're being culturally insensitive. Catholic priests have to molest young children, okay? Like, you don't understand. It's just their culture. Like, that's not, like, I'm not, like, Mr. fucking neoliberal Western monoculture guy, but, you know, maybe I'm being a little insensitive here, but holy fuck. Also, let's be real, we have no right to judge the Baltimore Archdiocese for following the deep-rooted traditions of being Italian. Your chat making excuses for this guy's disgusting. They would absolutely not have the same energy when it comes to Arab culture or any culture from the bad guys. Wait, first of all, I don't even think there's any people in the chat that are legitimately making excuses for the Dalai Lama. I think we're just like, one, trying to comprehend it a little bit. And two, like we're trying to exhaust what the counter propaganda could be. Do you see what I'm saying? Like we're looking at like what the counter to this is to better understand it and form an opinion on the issue. People aren't grossed out that he stuck out his tongue. It's because he asked the kid to suck it. Yeah, literally. I'm Tibetan. He's right. In fact, Agent Smith Jr. I'm Tibetan. He's right. In fact, we do a greeting where someone puts out his tongue, usually an older person, and asks the other person to suck it, but it's not really sucking, more like a peck. This trend started in 1998 when The Undertaker threw mankind. You're such a piece of shit. Why am I reading this? You're a fucking asshole, dude. Okay? Fucking. Only the cousins, brother. This trend started in Tibet only for the cousins, if you know what I'm saying. You know, cousin sucking. It's just, that's what we call it. Tibet. r/world news Redditors thought this was a Chinese deepfake before the Western media reported it. Yeah, I mean, anyway, let's see. So let's see what the NDTV article is talking about. A Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, has apologized after a viral video on social media showed him asking a boy to suck my tongue. A video clip has been circulating that shows a recent meeting when a young boy asks His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, if he could give him a hug. His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as his many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused, the spiritual leader's office said in a statement. What is the controversy? I don't know. I wonder what the controversy might be. Perhaps it has something to do with this like 700-year-old religious figure asking a literal child, in his words, to suck his tongue. I think that's the controversy. It's pretty open and shut. The incident took place during an interaction on February 28th at the event Mikliad Ganj, a suburb of Dharamshala. According to The Guardian, around 100 school students were present at the event, which was organized at a temple. One of the students present there asked the Dalai Lama on microphone if he can hug him. The 87-year-old asked the boy to come up to the platform where he was seated. The monk then planted a kiss on the boy's lips as he leaned in to pay his respects. He then stuck his tongue out while placing his forehead against the boy's and asked the child to suck it. The boy moved away while the Dalai Lama laughed and pulled the boy in for another hug, said the outlet. The reactions. The video was recorded by one of the attendees and amassed more than 1 million views. Twitter users slammed the footage, calling it disgusting and absolutely sick. Utterly shocked to see this display by the hashtag Dalai Lama. In the past, too, he's had to apologize for his sexist comments by saying, "Now suck my tongue to a small boy is disgusting," tweeted one of the users. "What did I just see? What that child must be feeling? Disgusting," said another. Tibetan culture and tongue greetings. According to a 2014 BBC article, sticking out your tongue can be considered as rude, but in Tibet, it's a way of greeting. It has been a tradition followed by the Tibetan people since the 9th century when the region was ruled by Lama, who was known for a black tongue. After the death of the king, the locals started showing their tongues when asked to confirm that they are not like him or his reincarnation. The Institute of East Asian Studies, UC Berkeley, also mentions this in 2014 piece. Okay, but like, that's bullshit. That might be an actual tradition, but asking someone to suck your tongue is not. So why did you not clear that part up? It doesn't seem like anywhere were they saying, suck my tongue. That's not a Tibetan tradition, it seems. What the fuck is going on? This was way past the greeting stage too. Yeah, he already did the fucking greeting. That's a wild way to try and fucking defend this dude. I mean, that's actually. Other controversies involving the Dalai Lama. In 2019, the Dalai Lama apologized for saying that if his successor were to be a woman, she would have to be attractive. The comments were criticized around the world, were made in an interview with the BBC. In the same year, he also triggered a controversy after saying Europe belongs to the Europeans on the issue of immigrants. Bro, stay in your own lane. Like, what do you mean? Where the fuck are you getting involved in like white nativist sentiment about European migration patterns? Like, what the fuck is going on? Bro, if I lost 6,000 slaves, I'd be working to recover them, okay? That's what I'd be doing. Worry about that, motherfucker. What are you doing? $500 million, dude? That's crazy. He's out here fucking talking about this. Stay in your lane, dog. Oh, clip it is a joke. Please be careful when reporting on this stuff. You don't want libertarians to see this and think they can tongue kiss kids in Tibet. Yeah, all the sex tourists are gonna fucking be like, oh shit, we gotta go to Tibet, dog. That's crazy. Could it be onset dementia? I do think that it probably is. It's more like, it could be like dementia in the sense that, he doesn't realize that that's going to not look good for him. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what's going on. Like, it's probably something he does, but now it's just like he's not supposed to. He has no control factor that would stop him from doing it publicly. Anyway. In 2018, he said that Mahatma Gandhi wanted to give the prime ministership to Muhammad Ali Jinnah, but Jawaharlal Nehru refused as he was self-centered. He added that India and Pakistan would have remained united had Mahatma Gandhi's come true. The Tibetan spiritual leader later apologized for his remark. The Dalai Lama remains the universally recognized face of a movement for Tibetan autonomy. He fled to India in 1959 after a failed uprising against Chinese rule in Tibet, is regarded by Beijing as a separatist. Last month, the Dalai Lama named an 8-year-old U.S.-born Mongolian boy as the 10th Kalka Jetsun Dampa Rinpoche, the third highest rank in Tibetan Buddhism. Wait, what? Bro, why the fuck is there not like cool shit in like American Christianity? Like, dude, that's sick. Like, you give rankings and stuff to just like random children. That's pretty fire. Like, imagine. Isn't it like Avatar The Last Airbender where they like play with toys and shit, and then like if your child plays with like a particular toy, then you're like, oh, that's the reincarnation. Like, it's that sort of like cool stuff. I think, look, what my take is on religion. If it's not like harmful, I don't really care if people believe in whatever the fuck they believe in, as long as they're not like using it as a justification for their bigotry. But like things of that nature, like playing with toys and whatever, like that stuff is cool. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, this guy's going to be the next pope because he's playing with these specific toys. Like he's gravitating towards the specific toys that only the Dalai Lama would play with. That was an episode of King of the Hill. No, but isn't that a real thing? So back in the 90s, we used to go to my grandma's with the Sunday night dinners, and she used to say words that us kids would ask our parents about on the way home. We were told never to talk about them and that they were awful, hurtful words, but grandma was a person out of time. He's ancient and honestly irrelevant in the grand scheme. I don't think he's... What? Bro, what do you mean? Like, even this article admits, like, this guy is seen as the beacon of, like, Tibetan autonomy against China. What the fuck are you talking about? If you think that he is, like, irrelevant when he is seen as, like, the one, a spiritual leader that is profoundly important, and two, like, spiritually and physically the guy who is leading Tibetan autonomy, it's not irrelevant. It's like saying Joe Brandon smelled. If Joe Brandon did this, like, it would not be irrelevant. You know what I mean? His horniness is a genuine politician, and that makes this 10x shittier. Yeah, he seemed like a prophet. Yes, that's how the aviator was chosen. These chatters are just uncultured and are missing out. You mean the Avatar? Wait, hold on. I think the Dalai Lama shit is real too. Look, Once these visions and signs have been followed up and a potential child has been found, there's a series of tests to verify the rebirth. The child is presented with artifacts, some of which belong to the previous Dalai Lama. If the child identifies which objects belong to the Dalai Lama, it is taken as a sign. I fucking called it, dude. I'm so much more cultured than you. All you motherfuckers are like, it's Avatar the Last Airbender. No, guess what? That's how you find the Avatar, but they stole that from the Dalai Lama. It was also an episode in my favorite slice of life anime, King of the Hill. Back when China took over Tibet, the Dalai Lama was seen by Western nations like the U.S. as their best bet to jumpstart a nationalist movement against the communists. So we'll back him up 100%. In fact, he tried to retake Tibet in 1998 when Undertaker threw mankind off of a cage at Hell in a Cell. Dude, that's so crazy how linked that powerful moment from WWF was with respect to like the Free Tibet movement. It's wild to consider, but it's real, definitely. You should rewatch this Dalai Lama segment from a couple of years ago.
We'd like to talk about.
Here's one thing I will say though, honestly. First of all, let's watch the full clip, I guess, to maybe get a better understanding. And then after that, we'll do the John Oliver.
Okay, come. First here. Then I think finally here also. And suck my tongue. Thank you. Thank you. We are same human brothers, sisters.
What's he grabbing his hand for? That's like fucking makes it extra gross, dude. This kid's gonna rank up really fast, sucking on tongue though. He's gonna be global elite in no time. Like, this is like opening up a fucking crate and having like an excellent knife, super high rarity, durability is high. You know what I mean? It's like that's what that's like.
Thank you. Now, you should.
Speaking to the Dalai is like the closest to speaking to your gods. It was a huge deal. Yeah, now imagine if like you fucking are speaking to this like, you know, holy figure who was like the prophet, okay? And then he grabs your fucking hand and puts it in his crotch region while telling you to suck his tongue. Like, all of a sudden, your entire understanding of the world as a child is warped, okay? Do you get it? Like, this is like insane. I don't even know how the fuck liberals are trying to defend this, to be honest. Like, there's no defense for this. The fact that like this dude was literally trying to be like, oh my God, like you're actually being racist because like, you know, the fucking the Dalai Lama is just doing like a cultural thing is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't know, the hand part is just him putting it down, but the rest is weird as fuck. Dropped an updated notes apology. Okay, shut the fuck up. Liberals are warmongers, that's why they love to. What? Okay. Hasanabi, it's just weird. I don't care about cultural differences when it comes to kids. Yeah, dude, what the fuck? I met the Dalai Lama when I was 6, and he was not this weird, lol. I think old age rotted his brain. I think when you get older, Okay, when you get older, some of the control mechanisms that would stop you from doing shit in public, okay, goes away. And then you start doing them in public. And then when you do it in public, people are like, what the fuck are you doing, dog? Chatter's like, Mongol Shevik says, I met the Dalai Lama. I did not suck his tongue. Okay. Even if it's cultural, it shouldn't be excused. It's not. No, I agree. It shouldn't be excused. But it's also not even cultural. So I'm not even going to do that. Like, I'm not going to act like that's a thing. We already very quickly found out what the cultural thing was. Okay? I do, however, find it incredible, okay, that you could be a man who owned 6,000 serfs, like slaves, okay? And in the same lifetime, lose all of that, and then have to write a fucking Notes app apology for sucking on a child's tongue, or trying to get a child to suck your tongue. Like, what a fucking... He's lived for too long. You know what I mean? Homie, you had, like, literal child slaves and shit. What the fuck? It's wild that he's getting canceled for... It's wild that he's getting canceled for, like, saying that the next Dalai Lama should be sexy. Okay? Or that... or doing a little bit of... doing a little bit of fucking pedophilia. When the man literally... What the fuck? It's Dalai, not Dolly. Stop. Am I saying it wrong? Isn't that how you say it in English? Bro, it ain't fair. You need to have the Dalai Lama on the pod to see what he has to say. See if March will reach out to his folks. Yeah. I think it's Dalai. Wait, really? Dalai? Dalai? Is that how you say it? What? Found the stupid...
And I don't like it a damn bit. Oh my God. Look out!
What? What? No. This was on my wrestling arc. This was some fun shit. Yeah. Dalai Lama. Clip titled, Dalai Lama did what? Yeah. The wrestling art was so cool. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Oh, shit. New JCS. Let's go. His actual name is Tenzin Gyatso. More Avatar connection. Yeah, I think Avatar was, using him as a reference point. You know what I mean? Okay. Lamo Thondup was born on the 6th of July, 1935, to a farming and horse trading family in a small hamlet of Takster of Chijitagstad at the edge of the traditional Tibetan region of Amdo in the Qinghai province. He was one of 7 siblings to survive childhood and one of 3 supposed reincarnated Rinpoches in the same family. His eldest sister, Zering Dolma, was 16 years his senior and was his midwife to his mother at birth. Damn, bro. The come up is crazy out here. Imagine going from like a horse trading farming family where like all of your siblings got fucking eviscerated to just becoming the Dalai Lama. That's wild. Yeah. Where are the fucking American podcasters talking about how he started from the bottom, now he's here? You know what I mean? Think about that. The real grind set is the Dalai Lama. That's a self-made guy right there. Look at him. Look at him as a baby, bro. He's got good drip, to be fair. This is like Tibetan drip goes kind of crazy, to be fair. Does this make him a Nepo baby or not? I think the Dalai Lama is a Nepo baby, and that's why he should be canceled, yes. because like he's reincarnated. You know what I mean? He's reincarnated from the previous, the previous Dalai Lama, who also is a Nepo baby. He's also a CIA baby too. So like there is also that too. We had a Prince 9th in line get caught in the act of noncing. He's still going strong. Llama Boy has fallen off. Yeah, it's giving Western supremacist attitude, Sweaty, honestly. Like when what's his face? Prince Andrew gets to do a little bit of nonsense with Jeffrey Epstein. People say he's in the wrong. But then when a Tibetan guy's doing it, then it's like, wow, really fucked up, Sweaty. How dare you do that? You know what I mean? It's like kind of racist. He was already on E1 a month ago. None of us white hosts played him. Okay, I was going to play this clip real quick. Yes. But yeah, I don't think this is correct. I think the insinuation isn't gross. I think the fact that Dylan is defending this is pretty gross. I'm going to be honest with you. So now all Dalai Lama future reincarnations are now potential pedos. How does that work? Oh, that's a good question. I think the way it works is like, dude, oh my God. The way you get out of this is by saying, oh, it's the previous reincarnation that was a pedophile. So like, the previous reincarnation was a pedophile. So that's why like, he did it. You know what I mean? You can't cancel him from the past life, right?
You know they got women running for office these days, right? Like I be in the ballot box and some of these bitches sound fine as hell. They got the sexy porn star names like Loie Lightfoot or some shit. Like, damn, can I vote for your ass to meet me at the Radisson by the airport?
This is Dalai Lama raunchy stand-up set caught on tape in new 2023 1080p HD. This is E1, the E1 podcast, a comedy podcast, portraying for those who don't understand jokes or humor or whatever, a month prior to this, talking about how this is what Dalai Lama stand-up set would be like.
Instead of the damn governor's mansion, you ever have some ugly bald motherfucker grab your girl's ass? That's me. So I'm watching this porno the other day, and you know what I realized? The pandemic changed porno. The guys know what I mean. Yeah, don't act like you don't know. Like girls be wearing masks and shit, like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat is sucking and fucking in these pornos nowadays. I watched so much damn porno during the pandemic. We all did. Right, fellas? The guys know what I'm talking about. My posse was like, your hang will be the only thing hairy on your body. Cause you know how jacking off make your palm hairy? Like it was on some royal family shit. King Harry, Harry Royal, whatever his name is. Yeah, okay, what else? So the royal family's in the nudes again? Yeah? The queen died last year. What? Did someone fuck her too much? Cause she's too old to be just giving that pussy away. You ever be fucking some old pussy and think like, yo, I'm gonna kill this bitch. Like, no way her doctor said her heart healthy enough for sex. Anyway, that's how the queen died. From giving away the pussy too damn old.
Okay, I should have never played this on this broadcast. What the fuck have you done to me on this? I know. Listen. It's supposed to be the Dalai Lama bombing a stand-up set. Now I'm going to have to do this thing where I have to describe what this bit is supposed to be. Oh my God. Ay. Okay. Just don't worry about it. Okay? Don't worry about it. E1 is episode 1 is a comedy podcast. How do I describe episode 1 to my chat? Like how? How do I describe E1? I can't, okay? A better way to fully understand it is that Lola Bunny, now that's a woman, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Wasn't Felix in episode 1 before? Yes. Just say it's like Come Town and move on? No, I don't think it's like Come Town. I think that it's... What? No, it's not like... It is way... I think it's way more preparation. Yeah, it's infinitely more creative than Come Town. M HUD is my brother's podcast, and it's way more creative than Come Town, you stupid bitch. Yeah, it's not like Come Town at all. I'm not even shitting on Come Town. I'm just saying that like this is very different. Anyway, okay, I don't think he's gonna talk about the CIA Tibetan program in this video. It seems. I like a lot of you said, oh, he's got Hasanabi head writers and whatnot, but I don't think so. The CIA Tibetan program was nearly a 2 decades long anti-Chinese covert operation that focused on Tibet, which consisted of political action, propaganda, paramilitary, and intelligence operations. None of this will probably come as a surprise to you if you know how America operates. So, you know, exactly. The fuck are the CIA doing there? Excuse me. What do you think the CIA is doing in Tibet? It's anti-China. It's anti-communist China. It's anti-communism. That's what the fuck they were doing there, just like they were doing this exact same thing everywhere around the fucking planet. That's how it is. That's how it always has worked. And that's how it always will work. The goal of the program was to keep political concept of an autonomous Tibet alive within Tibet and among several foreign nations. Although it was formally assigned to the CIA, it was nevertheless closely coordinated with several other U.S. government agencies, such as the Department of State and the Department of Defense. Previous operations had aimed to strengthen various isolated Tibetan resistance groups, which eventually led to the creation of a paramilitary force on the Nepalese border, consisting of approximately 2,000 men. By February 1964, the projected annual cost for all the CIA Tibetan operations had exceeded $1.7 million. Now, let me tell you something. That's cookies. War on terror, $6 trillion, $7 trillion. Think about that. They could have been using a lot more funds, but I guess $1.7 million for the time, pretty good. The program ended after President Nixon visited China to establish. This is why Nixon is a Maoist, as everyone knows. Famously, the based Maoist Third World, Richard Nixon, went to China and established closer relations in 1972. And the Dalai Lama did not like this decision and criticized it, saying it proved wholeheartedly that the U.S. never did it to help the people of Tibet. No shit. Hello. In the fields of political action and propaganda, the CIA's Tibetan program was aimed at lessening the influence, capabilities, and territorial scope of the government of China, particularly in the United States, feared communist involvement in the region. A 1957 report on logistical issues indicated increasing trepidation that the Chinese would escalate their communist presence in Tibet. The spread of communism in the international community was a huge concern for the United States. The CIA considered China's interest in Tibet to be a threat for multiple reasons. A 1950 memorandum noted that some of the reasons stem from a notion of bolstered sovereignty and a motivation to forge a bulwark against a possible invasion by Western powers in India. However, they also believed that China would use Tibet as a base of attacks against India and the Middle East in the Third World War. Therefore, intelligence officials declared action as a preventative measure should their worst case scenario, World War III, unfold. St. Circus was the cover name for the training of Tibetan guerrillas on the island of Saipan and at Camp Hale in Colorado. St. Barnum was a cover name for airlifting of CIA agents, military supplies, and support equipment to Tibet. St. Bailey was a cover name for a classified propaganda campaign. Chinese-Indian relations also played an important role in framing the CIA's operations. Due to Tibet's geographic location between the two countries, it was strategically important. The CIA released numerous reports assessing relations. Now, the reason why we know this is because the CIA oftentimes, what I like to call is a flex, will release this stuff later down the line. Like they literally will, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years passes by. It's already done. They already did the propaganda. It's already solidified. It's made permanent. And then people like basically intrinsically in their fucking hearts are like, no, this is my real thing. This is my shit. I want to fucking fight it. They've already done it. And there's also obviously legitimate need and interest in emancipation as well on the ground. That always happens. No country is monolithic in that regard. Some people are going to be like, no, this is good. This is better for prosperity. Other people, perhaps even a larger group of people, are going to be like, fuck that. I don't want that shit at all. Okay? Although, having said that, in many respects, when you're looking at American involvement in color revolutions around the world, what you always should try to factor in is the voice of the voiceless. Because whether you agree with it or not, historically speaking, given the fact that all of the peasants, serfs, slaves have oftentimes been armed in their original fight for emancipation from colonialism, from dictatorships that are backed by the Western world, those guys don't get a lot of play in the motherfucking Western media. No one ever goes up to a Chavista and asks them how they feel about the literacy rates or the fact that they have fucking hospitals in their farmland, rather than, they go to the fucking Chamber of Commerce. Oftentimes, these guys are already involved with the West because they're business leaders, and they fucking talk to the media regularly and are directly involved with the State Department. Sometimes sometimes when we talk about, for example, especially as it pertains to like Venezuela, they will literally put the head of the Chamber of Commerce in a position of power immediately after trying to do a fucking coup d'etat like they did in Venezuela. One of many examples. Just simply one. Okay? So that is something that you always have to understand. You can make up your mind on it on your own. I don't personally have a stake in this or a dog in the fight. I'm just simply giving you what I have seen time and time again through everything that I have read, okay? It always fucking works like this. There's always plenty of people that you can go and talk to, but the voiceless people, oftentimes, the ones that are no longer slaves or serfs or liberated through, violent revolution in many respects, those guys don't ever get heard. You only hear about, the guys who lost their property. Now, what do I mean by that? We have an identical circumstance domestically that we can point to. Okay? Look no further than the motherfucking South. America was built domestically under the same exact fucking principles. Literally look to the way that slavery is covered in the South and how that emancipation, that movement, okay, and how it was received in the Reconstruction era and why it wasn't perfect and they didn't go far enough, how the federal government fucked up and didn't go far enough, has created these contemporary problems. You don't hear about the perspective of the freed men and women. You hear about the perspective, in a lot of instances, okay, of the slave owners and how their lives were uprooted and how devastating that was, the war of northern aggression. So just understand. I'm not saying this to be like, this is directly analogous to the Tibet and it's actually good and that China did great things in Tibet overall. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just simply stating that covering affairs like this from an entirely one-sided perspective, okay, is not ever going to be good. But also, there are certain things that you can always point to. One simple trick is look to who was liberated and how when you want to understand that. Okay, when you want to understand like whether or not the material conditions are better off after this subsequent invasion. Okay. Another thing that you can always look to, who stands to gain from whatever kind of like counter-revolutionary movement. Another thing that you can always look to is not the reception of said actions from the Western media, but I don't know how to describe it. Hasan, this isn't the take you think it is. What? What do you mean? Oh, one final aspect of this, and this is actually super critical of, the Chinese government, just like I'm very critical of the American government. One thing that you should always never forget is that Big governments will do big government shit. What do I mean by that? States are always going to enact violent principles, okay? States will always be violent. State violence is considered the norm. That's why you say non-state actors, you call non-state actors terrorists, right? It's a different classification. Violent paramilitaries acting at the behest of or acting against the state are considered terrorists. It's a subclassification. If a cop throws a tear gas at you, that's not considered an act of violence because the state has a monopoly on violence. If you kick the tear gas canister back, or if you use a leaf blower against that tear gas canister, you have now engaged in an act of violence against the state. So never forget that. Now, what I mean by that is the Chinese government always going to fucking behave in a violent way whenever they're engaging in acts of, in their opinion, liberty? Of course. Of course they are. And they always will. That's just how it goes. That's how big government works. It's just, what is the purpose of said violence? What are the outcomes of said violence? And whether or not we are looking at this through the lens of whether or not we're looking at this through an objective lens. So when I talk about like even contemporary history, I'm giving you the details. You can make up your own mind on it, okay? But there's always still going to be a lot of violent actions that the state has engaged in. Remember, the Chinese government in that situation, okay, certainly was engaging in violent acts. Anyway, let's continue. CIA monitored the relations. The CIA worked to strengthen the Tibetans against the Chinese communist efforts. To do so, the United States planned to issue asylum to the Dalai Lama and his supporters. Some resistance fighters took their own lives when captured by the Chinese to avoid torture. The Tibetan resistance was promised weaponry and resources from the West to continue their resistance against the Chinese. Knowing resistance was unlikely to succeed, they accepted Chinese annexation. Okay? Here is Vince Bevins, the author of the famous book, The Jakarta Method. Okay. This is George Kennan, one of the architects of this Cold War. Furthermore, we have about 50% of the world's wealth, but only 6.3% of the population. This disparity is particularly great as between ourselves and the peoples of Asia. In this situation, we cannot fail to be the object of envy and resentment. Our real task in the coming period is to devise a pattern of relationships which will permit us to maintain this position of disparity without positive detriment to our national security. To do so, we will have to dispense with all sentimentality and daydreaming, and our attention will have to be concentrated everywhere on our immediate national objectives. We need not deceive ourselves that we can afford today the luxury of altruism and world benefaction. This is, admitting that none of American acts of international intervention ever come with altruistic desires. Okay? It's basically to say, in order to secure America's position as the global dominant force, we have to be anywhere and everywhere at all times, and we are not doing this out of the kindness of our hearts. We are not doing this for any kind of real purpose of emancipation. Okay? It's just basically saying the quiet part out loud. It's the thing that I say all the time, and people get very mad at me when they misconstrue. Okay? That's it. The communists liberated the people of Tibet from serfdom. They were then given land and exempt from taxation. People burned their slave debts and leases from their former monk and landlord owners. Before this, slaves never owned any of the harvest they produced. But Freedom House and the Western liberal media will cover this as were there deaths, of course, for the record, but people will cover this in the West in an identical capacity to any other communist revolution like Cuba. If you look at the Cuban Revolution, literally it's on similar terms. This is from The Guardian. Until 1959, when China cracked down on Tibetan rebels and the Dalai Lama fled to northern India, around 98% of the population was enslaved in serfdom. The Drepung Monastery on the outskirts of Lhasa was one of the world's largest landowners with 185 manors, 25,000 serfs, 300 pastures, and 16,000 herdsmen. High-ranking lamas and secular landowners imposed crippling taxes, forced boys into monastic slavery, and pilfered most of the country's wealth, torturing disobedient serfs by gouging out their eyes or severing their hamstrings. Things were not very great in Tibet, as far as I understand. I do love when Western media looks at something like Freedom House and their rankings and looks at like how insane those rankings look like, okay? And then go, it's so insane. It's like, yeah, maybe that should tell you something about like what the motivation is for why these things exist to begin with. You're extinguishing the idea of Tibet, censoring anything to do with it, and breeding out native Tibetans are all actions of a just liberator. This is why people think you're a China apologist. I don't think China is a just liberator, but I like to look at the present material conditions pre any kind of action that America's foreign nations have engaged in. Okay, he was not aware at the time and was peddling the status quo, or just paid to peddle the State Department narrative. No, there is no. Why the fuck would you ever look beyond? Why would you ever look beyond? What the fuck? Why would you ever look beyond something like the Freedom House Index? Like, you see that and then you go, that's fine. Opposing the invasion doesn't mean you should support the previous oppressor. Yeah, this is like, I mean, I'm in a permanent state where people are like saying I'm overly critical and eat up like liberal propaganda against China, and also the number one China apologist on the planet. Okay? Like, a lot of these things are significantly more complicated. There's always a better solution than what actually happened. Okay? Than the actions that a fucking, state took. A state that utilized superior military power. Anyway, regardless, the idea that like the prior situation in Tibet was better is silly. It's like looking at the Cuban Revolution and then thinking about like the death toll during the Cuban Revolution, and then not factoring in the prior government formation, like what Cuba looked like under the dictatorship of Batista, which was infinitely more cruel than any number of things that the Cuban Revolution could have done, or who those deaths were. Exactly. Throughout time, the Dalai Lama has said a lot of stuff. The tongue-sucking thing not being the thing that I'm talking about, but instead, he's oftentimes aligned with, like, weirdly enough, aligned with U.S. values, whether it be having like an inconsistent statement about like the Iraq War, things like that. Yeah, I mean, or the Afghanistan invasion. Maybe the Lama's a CIA plant. I don't think it's a CIA plant in general, but I do think that he sees Western alignment. He sees Western alignment and Western allegiance as a way to push back against against China. Teach both sides of the controversy, man. The literal Nazis said there were no mutilations. What? Judicial mutilation, principally the gouging out the eyes and cutting out the hands or feet, were formalized under the Sakya school. It was used as legal punishment until being declared illegal. In the same reform, the Dalai Lama banned capital punishment. What do you mean, the literal Nazis? He was literally paid by the CIA. I just think it's odd that the Dalai Lama has nothing to offer but vapid kindergarten pop spirituality. Then I learned that he was a well-paid a CIA agent for many years. This is from what book? CIA's canceled war in Tibet. Many friends of the Nazis who went to Tibet. Oh, yeah, no, the Dalai Lama does have what is it? Doesn't he have like a homie that was a Nazi? That is true. That part is true. He's talking about Heinrich Harrer, the former SS member who was cleared by Nazi hunters for culpability in the Holocaust. He thinks you're getting all this info from China, even though you're reading declassified CIA files. Oh yeah, I have yet to read one single fucking. I've yet to read one single thing that isn't American resources. Like all of this stuff is from American American resources. Like it's usually they openly admit this stuff in what I like to call a flex. The CIA will regularly go back in time and declassify documents about certain interests that they had when enough time has passed, and they'll openly admit it. Like, man, the CIA Tibetan activity consists of political action, propaganda, and paramilitary activity. Like they this isn't like a hidden thing. Haven't people always been criticized for who their friends are? What? Doesn't matter picking his poison. Being pro-emancipation unfortunately means it aligns with the U.S. State Department and CIA goals. I don't think it means the desires of emancipation is invalid. I get that. That's I understand that for sure. But having having material resources is probably going to make it a little bit more difficult for any landmass to reach full emancipation from a country that considers it to be just annexation, especially when they can point to like historic precedent as well. To be like, oh well, we fucking did this. Like we back and forth control. It's a similar argument to Xinjiang. Like China's argument to why they maintain control of Xinjiang and believe that any mention of like East Turkestan is considered separationist and radical.
CNN's Omar Jimenez, who has been following this.
Anyway, let's talk about yet another mass shooting in the United States of America, of course.
A few moments ago, watching all this happen, did you hear anything new from police? We now know there are 6 people who have been shot, including a police officer. Do we hear anything about their conditions or anything like that?
Well, we got the tragic update as we're seeing that 5 people are dead, 6 taken to the hospital after this shooting. And obviously, when you first get reports of an active shooter, of an active aggressor, these are the types of reports that you worry about.
CNN at the time said 5 killed, but now I'm looking at WLKY. Maybe they have a better update here, but their tally shows 4 killed, the 4 who were died, the 4 people who died. What the fuck is wrong with me? The shooter is dead. I think it's 4 plus 1. Oh, got it. The 4 people who died were all employees of the bank. LMPD identified them as Tommy Elliott, 63, Jim Tutt, 64, Josh Barrick, 40, and Juliana Farmer, 45. Elliott, the senior vice president, was a close friend of both Governor Andy Beshear and Mayor Craig Greenberg. We lost 4 of our children to God today, one of whom was one of my closest friends, Beshear said. 9 people were hospitalized in all, including at least 3 officers. One LMPD officer, Nicholas Wilt, was shot in the head and is receiving brain surgery. Holy fuck. Police aren't sure yet on a motive or how the shooter got the rifle. They did say he live streamed the shooting somewhere on social media. SWAT swarmed his home in South Louisville. We're also told by a former employee that there's a typical sales meeting on Monday around 8:30, which is when the shooting happened. Greenberg called the shooting an evil act of targeted violence. He live streamed on Instagram. I don't know what the motives are. In a lot of circumstances, I think we all know some good guesses where. No, I don't think it's like. I don't know what his motivations or what his motives were, but in a lot of circumstances, it's like this. It's like this. I'll explain it like this. Usually, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but usually when a instance of like one domestic partner is murdered, the immediate suspect is the other partner that is alive, right? Like that's kind of who they assume at first, right? It's like the immediate suspect. Unless circumstances are like so fucking clear that, you know, you clear the person. In a similar capacity, in a workplace shooting like this, the bank makes it possibly ideologically motivated. It would be very unlikely given statistics on how these things work. But maybe. I suspect it's my immediate suspicion in situations like this is always a workplace dispute. You know, you go back to your place of work and you go and you fight back. You go and you fucking bring a gun and you go postal. That's the concept. It's a very American thing, unfortunately. The problem is, and he worked for the bank. They notified him he was losing his job. They were talking about it on CNN earlier today. Yeah, that unfortunately, that is... I mean, it's typical. Wait, does that literally refer to post offices? Yeah, there was a shooter, 23-year-old, identified by police as a gunman in Monday's mass shooting in Louisville, had worked for more than a year at the bank where he allegedly shot 13 people, killing at least 4, recently fired. You shouldn't say going postal. The posties don't like it, and you don't want to piss them off. They go postal sometimes. No, I wouldn't say that because... I love the Postal Service. I think they're awesome. Anyway. So, the city has set up a family assistance center. The mayor said victims and family members should go to that location. In a video provided by the WLKY viewer, multiple loud pops that sound like gunshots could be heard, followed by someone screaming active shooter at the bank. Yeah, I thought it was like originally maybe like a bank robber or something, but it does seem to be a disgruntled former employee, which is usually how these things work. Unfortunately, that's like the extremely common meta. Why is it extremely common? Why don't they do this kind of thing in the UK, for example? Like people get fired there. Why don't they do this kind of thing in Germany, for example? People get fired there as well. Why don't they do this in Canada? Canada is very close to the United States of America. People also get fired there. Well, you know, I think at this point, I covered this recently, not that long ago, last week, but ease of access to an arsenal of weapons could perhaps be the most common difference. So yeah, it's, you know, you can say any other country pretty much. When you don't have social safety nets, when you don't have mental health treatment, when you don't have, any kind of future prospects for yourself, when you're just constantly going in, day out, working for the man, and you have a gun, and then you get fired, a severely life-changing thing happens and you snap, no matter what happens, you know, it's still going to end up with a situation like this.
the situation updates to the casualties that we're seeing here, the fatalities that are being reported here. Now, one thing that we did learn from this as well is that the active aggressor threat, as they described it, was over. They said the suspected shooter has been neutralized, or the shooter has been neutralized at this point. We're also learning a little bit more about what was happening as this was unfolding, but this is coming from a witness account who is nearby, who spoke to one of our affiliates, saying he got a call from his wife who said there was an active shooter and that she was locked inside a vault at the Old National Bank here. And so the man called 911, but officers were already aware. This was happening around 8:30 in the morning there. He described it as a traumatic phone call, with his wife essentially calling him from inside the bank vault where she was sheltering at the time. He's since talked to her and that she's okay, but obviously this was a situation that the shooter was actively firing at folks, and we know at least one person, potentially even others, were sheltering inside a bank vault just to be safe, just to protect themselves. And so obviously we've gotten the update from police that some of these casualties have confirmed now into fatalities, and that others have been taken to the hospital. Their conditions are still unknown. We know the governor is headed out to the scene right now. We know there's law enforcement at multiple jurisdictions that have said they are responding at the local level, Louisville police, but also ATF, FBI. And so I think at this point, we're now waiting to see what develops from here, including the potential identity of the shooter here. And we watch to see if these numbers unfortunately grow as they typically do when we get into the early stages of reporting mass shootings like these, Sarah.
Really terrifying hearing that account from inside of the bank, a woman in a bank vault saying someone was shooting. There are lots of potential things that may have happened here. We don't know at this point if there was a robbery, if this was a disgruntled. We don't know anything about why, but we do know now 5 people have perished in this shooting. You've got one person who's been taken to the hospital. Omar Jimenez, thank you so much for following this story for us.
Classified documents leaked. The Justice Department has launched an investigation into who leaked them and how, as the Biden administration looks.
We all know guns don't actually cause gun violence. Not having enough guns do. Actually sweating the gay liberal agenda is the issue. True. No, the shooter's not alive. I think he's also dead. He got shot by the cops. Now, from what I understand, the cops arrived on the scene fairly quickly. It is a gun. It is a bank. You know, you're going into a bank with a gun. Cops are going to arrive fairly quickly. However, even then, 4 people died and the shooter died as well, but 4 victims died and 1 cop might actually die as well. He got shot in the head, and 9 people were injured, including that 1 cop that I just mentioned. Now, this is a breaking news story, so obviously we don't have access to all the details yet. And I usually like to cover at least some of the basics, the meat of what is going on, and then wait for further details. However, banks are, of course, not a gun-free zone. That's number one, or at least, they have security. Obviously, that hasn't stopped people from speculating about what the shooter's motivations were. Chat, are you complaining they arrived fast because it's a bank? There are humans in there too. Shut the fuck up. No. The reason why I brought up the fact that they arrived fast because it's a bank is because even when cops arrive super fucking fast on scene and neutralize the suspect / kill him, people still die. So even when cops are doing the right thing, there's still clearly more that our legislators need to do with respect to red flag laws and taking some of these guns off the streets. But let's be fucking real. It is not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Meanwhile, that's the main issue here, but what are people focusing on? Well, it turns out this guy and a bunch of other accounts have been stating that this is yet another Democrat shooter. Louisville mass shooter has been identified as Connor Sturgeon, who used the pronouns he, him. Like, they're saying he's leftist or a Democrat because he has the he, him in his bio. Isn't that just like a fucking LinkedIn thing? Like, when you just say what your fucking pronouns are, like these dumbasses think when you fucking click on, like, I don't get it. Like, Justin, I said it again. These guys are extremists or whatever. He says, Justin, Louisville mass shooter identified as Connor Sturgeon, who identified as he, him. I've said it again. It's not the guns. It's the pronoun extremist. I mean, technically, he's not wrong. Everyone that has killed someone in a mass shooting has had pronouns, including this guy, who also has he, him in the bio. So, what's up with that? Everyone has a gender pronoun. Which, hold on second thought, that sounds kind of gay if we were to abolish pronouns. But, you know what? Fuck it, actually. No, we should abolish pronouns. Pronouns, an important part of the English language, something that I had to learn, as a matter of fact, because Turkish was my first language, and Turkish does not have gender pronouns. Something that I learned to understand the language of English. Pronouns are a part of the language, and what these right-wing guys are doing is basically saying, oh, that shooter had a pronoun. Look, it's awfully suspicious that all of these shooters have pronouns. Well, everyone has pronouns. Every single person has a pronoun. That's just, your gripe is not with trans people, it's with language. Which, to that I say, if you want to abolish pronouns, then you're kind of doing what, like, people who want to do gender abolition want to do. So, I guess, no more pronouns. You're going to jail if you have a pronoun. This was the Evangelical Christianity Hour, brought to you by Hank Jebediah Pecker. That's right. I just wanted to cover the right-wing argument on this subject. They say the shooter had a pronoun, which is every shooter has one, because they're speaking English, a language with pronouns, gender pronouns. So yeah, what are you gonna say about the allegations that some are saying about how you took off the cute froggy hoodie? I took it off because it was very hot. I'm sorry. So yeah, we are in a very weird predicament. The dumber people get, I mean, I don't know. I just, people are just very stupid. Like, it just kind of sucks. Speaking of stupid people, here's Ben Shapiro defending a person who has a lot of Hitler artifacts. Here, let's take a look. And
apparently he's a very, very bad man. You're not allowed to be friends with Justice Thomas, because apparently they're now accusing him, I'm not kidding you, of being like a Nazi. The reason is because this is what Nazis do. They make friends with Clarence Thomas. That Nazis, famous for loving black people. That this is one of the things they're most famous for. So Kevin Cruz, who is just a ridiculous human being, a pseudo-academic over at Princeton University who has somehow avoided plagiarism charges that have gotten him kicked out of the university, he tweeted out, I've spent decades of my life researching and writing about white supremacists, and no, I don't have any paintings or statues of them in my house, because that's not something you do with the people you hate. What's he talking about there? Well, apparently, Harlan Crow collects basically memorabilia from defunct communist and Nazi states, and he has a garden in which he displays these things to show what the capitalistic free market and Judeo-Christian ethic has overcome. Apparently, this now means you're a fan of these things. So, if you own a piece of memorabilia from an evil regime, in order to demonstrate to your children, so that people remember for the future what that evil regime was, this means you're now a fan of that thing, according to Kevin Cruz. This is the actual thing they're going for. According to the Washingtonian, when Republican megadonor Harlan Crow isn't lavishing Justice Thomas with free trips on his private plane and yacht, he lives a quiet life in Dallas among his historical collections. These collections include Hitler artifacts, 2 of his paintings of European cityscapes, a signed copy of Mein Kampf, assorted Nazi memorabilia, plus a garden full of statues of the 20th century's worst despots.
Yeah, that was weird, but like kind of cool to have like fucking not the Nazi shit, but like having an entire garden full of wait, did he say signed copy of Mein Kampf? I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait, did he just say Harlan Crow? The guy he's defending as a signed copy of who signed it? Adolf Hitler? What?
This is the actual thing they're going for. According to the Washingtonian, when Republican megadonor Harlan Crow isn't lavishing Justice Thomas with free trips on his private plane and yacht, he lives a quiet life in Dallas among his historical collections. These collections include Hitler artifacts, 2 of his paintings of European cityscapes, a signed copy of Mein Kampf, assorted Nazi...
He just kind of wait. Who signed the copy of Mein Kampf? Did Hitler sign? Is he saying he has a Adolf Hitler signed copy of mine? What the fuck? I mean, it's like how Hasan is the Queen and Obama in his room, and we all know he supports them both vehemently. I mean, it's a little bit different, okay? You know what I mean? I use that as a joke, as a bit. I didn't go and like fucking purchase the drone that Obama used to kill someone and then have him sign it. You know what I mean? Like, here's the signed copy. Here's the signed drone strike footage signed by Obama on the fucking Kunduz hospital. Like, that's not what I have. Wait, so you're a Nazi if you have a Hitler autograph? You liberals and your cancel culture is crazy. Yeah. Ben Shapiro's Jewish. He just glanced over a dude having a signed copy of Mein Kampf. Bro, he thinks people are being anti-Semitic if they say Palestinians are human beings. Okay? Mr. I conflate any kind of criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism. Literally will go, oh, dude, you're anti-Semitic, unacceptable, fucking fuck yourself, kill yourself, whatever. And this guy he's defending currently has a copy of Mein Kampf. I can't get over. It's like a joke. If Joe Biden had a signed copy of Mein Kampf, I don't think Ben Shapiro would consider that to be, defensible. Oh my God, it's actually a signed copy of Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler. Okay, every time. Okay, this story has gone off the fucking rails. That is insane. That's like mint condition, PSA 10. You know, it's got like factory glitches on it. Is extremely rare signed copy of Mein Kampf by the big man himself. That's cool. That's very nice, dude. Awesome. You fucking wow. That is wow. Bro, it's not like his copy of Mein Kampf is signed by freaking Hitler. Chill. How do you, what the fuck? I don't know what to say to this. Yeah, this is the holographic Charizards of Nazi memorabilia. Oh, what the fuck? No, comparing this to my copies is definitely a forgery. He said Mein Kampf with factory glitches. Lamau stop, get some sun, man. No, maybe I should. I am flabbergasted. I am a little shook. This is very weird. Am I crazy? I feel like are things changing in the world where we just think that this is normal now? Like, maybe I'm just going wild. Like, Ben Shapiro's defending this. Like, what the fuck? Am I the weirdo? Did I shift into a different planet where people are just like, what do you mean? Of course you're going to have it's literally like having like a swastika tattoo and then people being like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, whatever. He just liked the Nazis. That doesn't mean he's a Nazi, dude. He just likes history. Like, what the fuck? Like, here's the thing. Like, it super rare and valuable books sell for millions of dollars at an auction. A Hitler-signed edition of Mein Kampf only goes for 20 to 60K. It's not a priceless treasure or an invaluable historical artifact. It's a cheap novelty you buy because you think it's neato. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Like, I don't think a lot of Nazi memorabilia go for a lot of money in general either, because it's like, you know, there's a lot of ethical I want to say there's a lot of ethical complications with owning Nazi memorabilia, but I also don't know if that's the case anymore, because why is Ben Shapiro defending that? No, 20 to 60K for a historic, brother, a book like a signed copy of like, you know, any kind of work from the author itself is going to go for a lot of money. Okay. The reason why, in comparison to other super valuable, super rare books, the Hitler ones are not as expensive is because you might be shocked to find out, but there's not that big of a market for it. Now, of course, apparently there is a big market for it in the Harlan Crow. He likes it, but 120K for signed copy of Marx's Das Kapital. Makes sense. There you go. Fucking get wrecked, Hitler. That's right. Rick said the same shit in Pawn Stars about how there's not much of a market for it. Yeah, exactly. Because, and I can't stress this enough, having Nazi memorabilia instantly signals to other people that you might be a Nazi, and a lot of people are not too fond of that for understandable and desirable reasons. That's kind of the reason why a lot of the Nazi memorabilia doesn't sell for, like, you know, really, really high values. That's, you know, Pawn Stars. Yeah, Rick did talk about that. What? Harlan Crow, a best friend of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, is a death mask of sitting bull in his What? That's really gross, man. That's like... To be fair, death masks are normal and kind of creepy antiquity. Yeah, it just seems like he's just a fan of, you know, genocide. Like, he's just like, I don't really care who it's done to, you know what I mean? And for people who are saying, like, death masks, like, I don't understand, like, okay, let's think about it this way. How would you feel if he had a death mask of fucking, I don't know, a Jewish person that died in the Holocaust? Because, you know, indigenous people are not white, so let me just, like, use a term that you can comprehend. There's a whole Justified episode where a guy collects Hitler paintings, and the whole episode you are led to believe that the guy is all fascist and whatnot, but in the end he shows his collection is just jars full of ashes, meaning the guy buys Hitler paintings and then burns them. Pretty cool, I guess. Why did you just spoil my favorite episode of Justified? Harlan Crow's Nazi memorabilia collection includes Adolf Hitler's teapot engraved with a swastika and Adolf Hitler initials. Made it through another hard day of owning Hitler's teapot, which I hate. That's an awesome joke. It's like, oh man, guys, I'm going to serve you some tea with this, but let me tell you something, okay? I'm going to serve you some tea with this, but guess what? I hate it. I hate drinking out of it, okay? It's my least favorite teacup to drink out of. I, a billionaire, unfortunately have no other teapots remaining in the house. Fuck, we're going to have to use the Adolf Hitler teapot. Cody Johnson's joke was great too. Sitting in my garden of evil, thinking about my Hitler stuff, which is inside, away from my garden of evil. Yeah, that part is really weird too. I noticed that as well. So he has a garden of evil where he has like a bunch of fucking statues of like, you know, Lenin, I think Karl Marx, maybe, Mao, Stalin, you know, all the guys. I think he has Che Guevara too in there. It's like, he just has like everyone that, you know, you've learned is bad in history. With one exception, Adolf Hitler. I don't think Adolf Hitler is in the Garden of Evil. I don't think he has a statue of Adolf Hitler in the Garden of Evil. Correct me if I'm wrong. I looked it up and I did not see that. Why is Adolf Hitler not in the garden? Because his prized possessions of Adolf Hitler is inside, you know, away from the Garden of Evil. This seems very uncharitable of you. Yeah. You know me. I'm going crazy with it. He tried to buy a statue of Pol Pot. What the fuck? Thanks, Jonah Dispatch, for calling out this ludicrous and despicable smear of Harlan Crow, who's a good man. Representative Jeffries was a guest at Old Parkland, Harlan's office complex, a few weeks ago. Harlan gave him a very warm introduction. The Democratic whip of the U.S. House of Representatives, Catherine Clark, and Representative Pete Aguilar was there as well. That's, It almost feels like, okay? It almost feels like, bear with me here, okay? I just, almost feels like billionaire implies they are above politics and both parties serve his interests. I don't know. I mean, it feels like it. It feels like it doesn't really matter what your personal private politics are as a billionaire because like both sides kind of serve your interest. What is this? 3 unique statues of Lenin at the Harlan Crow. Okay, this is kind of baller though. Like this is actually fire. I'm not even kidding. Like that is sick. That's like the only. Harlan Crow has 3 unique statues of Lenin at the Harlan Crow Library. You have a fading Ed Markey sticker on your laptop. True. Sigma Grind said. Harlan Crow and the Guardian. New York Ways. I don't only collect Nazi stuff. I collect objects from all the Axis countries, he said. Also from countries who aren't even mentioned anymore as former parts of the Axis, like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Finland, Hungary. Oh, he is. Bro, this is like when you go into the tombs of racism to like unearth new racist terms. You know what I mean? Like top of the hour ad break, which is like the most racist terminology that you can deploy. But of course, fear not. No Turkey mention. Fuck you mean no Turkey mention? Turkey very specifically stayed the fuck away from World War II, dog. Okay? Turkey was like, we did that one time. Okay? You can't fool us twice. Fool me once. Shame on me. Or shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. Okay? That's what they did. They were like, nope. We are not playing a role in World War II, motherfucker. That's not happening. We aligned with you guys one fucking time in World War I, and it did not work well. You know? Anyway. You just pushed that? I know. These go hard. There's more. Okay. Che Guevara, very evil, very nice. You got, dude, what the fuck? Okay, these are kind of, how do you even get a Stalin statue? I feel like it's not easy to fucking purchase. Like, didn't they literally destroy the Stalin statues in Russia? Yeah, I did the top of the hour ad break. Prop 65 warning. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. I heard there are lots still in Georgia. Really? I mean, I guess that's because he's from there, you know? Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break now. It's odd to be like, oh, in the Garden of Evil, I have the guy who killed a lot of Nazis, and inside I have the guy who is a Nazi that I have the signed copy of the book by the guy that I hate him the most, I think. Even this is weird. Like, even if you fucking hate Stalin and you hate, even if you hate Stalin and Lenin and all that shit, like, why the fuck do you have sick ass statues of them? Like, that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Wait. Is this Enver Hoca? Am I crazy? Joe Pesci? No. No way. There's no shot. What? Is it Tito? Is that a Tito statue? Dude, okay, even Tito makes more sense. If it's Enver Hoxha, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind, okay? Because, like, this is incredibly fucking rare, even if it's Tito. But if it's, oh my God. Hoja, not Hoxha. Shut up, I said it right the first time. Suck my dick. Bro, you have to be like an actual... What the... Okay, he is into some weird ass shit, bro. What the fuck? That is... Oh, God. That's kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it's Enver Hoxha. I think it's probably like a shitty ass Tito statue, maybe. I actually don't know. I can't tell. Man has 2 statues of Stalin and one of his killers in the same garden. That's crazy. Romanian dictator Nicolae Ceausescu, I don't know how to say his last name. Yugoslav dictator Joseph Broz Tito, Russia's Joseph Stalin, and Vladimir Lenin reside. Yo, that's fucked up, bro. What the fuck? New Albania Enver Hoxha comrade bust portrait communism political figure. Yo, they fucking destroyed him, dude. What is this? Bro, this does not this is a bust that does not say Enver Hoxha number 1, okay? That's his death mask. Okay. This is anti-Albanian agitprop. Oh, yeah, this is what Enver Hoxha looked like for the record. Which makes that statue way funnier. They made him look royal, if you know what I mean. Sitting on Harlan Crow's lap in the Rainbow Room while he plays video poker and ashes onto your shoulder, his breath a dry wheeze. Feeling Harlan Crow's kidney pulsing through his leather vest as the phlegm bounces his Iron Cross necklace up every second like a damn metronome. You realize his handlebar mustache is graying, and it occurs to you he must have forgotten the diet. One of his eyes is closed. New York Waste. I don't only collect Nazi stuff. I collect objects from all the Axis countries. We're to cover this. From the beginning of time, the bad guys always had the best uniforms. Napoleon, the Confederates, the Nazis. They all had killer uniforms. I mean, the SS uniform is fucking brilliant. They were the rock stars of that time. What are you going to do? They just look good. Yeah, I'll be honest, like, you don't ever have to, under any circumstances, hand it to the Nazis, but, like, comparing the fucking Hugo Boss uniforms of the Nazis to the tattered bullshit that the Confederates were wearing is literally insane. Like, you have to, at that point, be like, I'm riding for the bad guys all the time. That's why I think they all have incredible drip. Like, you're not doing anything. What's doing the work is the ideology in that circumstance, okay? Like, the fuck do you mean the Confederates have a sick uniform, dude? What? Not really. No. They did not have anything. No, the Nazi uniform sucked too. No, fascists actually care a lot about aesthetics. So, no, from a aesthetic principle, it was like, this is something that they cared about. It's literally historically relevant. It is by design that they wanted to ensure that their uniforms looked good. Okay? They cared a lot about it. That's what the point is. So, cancellation of speedrun today. I'm not saying that I would fucking go and buy one, you weirdo. I'm just simply stating that, like, Nazis, fascists in general, care a lot about the aesthetics, just like liberals do. Okay? They do. It's true. It's kind of the point. They did that on purpose. Yeah, Ugopnik, friend of the show, made a video on this, the aesthetics of evil, the fascist uniform. I'm not going to go into it fully because it's like, it's a 27-minute video. Literally, the reason they used the color red was to steal leftist sentiment into their aesthetics. You already bought a Porsche, mate? You bought a Porsche? Wait, what do you mean? I don't get it. Because I got a German car? Is that what you're saying? Was Porsche even around back then? I don't even know. But yeah, if you're talking about like Volkswagen Auto Group, they own pretty much everything. Including Lamborghini. But Volkswagen is Nazi for sure. But I didn't know that Porsche was even around back then. Not that I give a shit. Yeah, I had a Jetta too, dummy. I literally had a Jetta. I had a Volkswagen Jetta. So that's like significantly closer to Nazism than anything else. Porsche volunteered to join the SS on December 17th, 1938, later claiming falsely that he had been conscripted by Himmler to design the Schwimmwagen. He would continue to deny having volunteered until his death. Yeah. Also, Americans being like, dog, I can't believe you're driving a Porsche, dude. Meanwhile, my conscience is clear in my Ford. Sir, my conscience is so clear driving around in my Ford. Henry Ford got a medal from Hitler himself, dude. Or fucking I don't know how Japanese manufacturing worked back then, so I don't know, but I'm sure certainly drinking. I'm here driving my Ford, drinking a big old liter of Fanta, brother. I got a gallon of Fanta. A beverage specifically created for Nazi Germany. Yeah, speaking of like super wealthy guys who were also fond of Adolf Hitler, Henry Ford. Super fond of fascism in general. Just riding for fascism. Bet they don't fucking teach you that in your goddamn schools where they're, I guess, abolishing pronouns, do they? Another guy super fond of Adolf Hitler, and actually another guy super fond of Adolf Hitler who helped industrialize extraction for Nazi Germany was Grandpapa Coke. Not Coca-Cola. I'm talking like the Koch brothers, or rather one Koch brother. Yeah, their dad actually not only helped Adolf Hitler, but also then helped Stalin. Yeah. Did you guys know that? Because, and this might come as a surprise to you, okay? They don't give a fuck about ideology. They just want to make money. That's how capitalists work, okay? Don't forget, Coco Chanel was also involved with the Nazis. Isn't that story different though? Like I thought she was like. Meanwhile, Soviets still cleared in aesthetics. This is the Tupolev Aero Sledge. What a fucking machine! This is sick. Soviets did have some sick aesthetics. It's pretty sad. Anyway. I thought Coco Chanel was like, or she claims that she was like fucking one of the Nazis to like get away with it or something, to like not be murdered. That's what I remember. I don't know. I might be wrong. If fashion helped the Nazis win, it's no wonder Ye stand Hitler so hard. Yeah, well, I don't know if you know this, but they didn't win. Well, they did kind of win. Like their ideology still runs rampant in, actually, I would say both countries that fucking worked really hard to defeat them. I'm of course referencing, I guess Russia, if you want to call it like, post USSR, and also, of course, the United States of America. So that's, USA worked hard. Yeah. Oh, come on. Just because the USSR did the most work does not mean that the United States didn't fucking the United States didn't actually do a lot of work. Come on now. You spoil every anime. So yeah, this guy is weird. Very odd that Ben Shapiro is defending him. Ha, just kidding. Of course it's not odd. There's never been a fucking freakazoid who loves Nazis that Ben Shapiro hasn't defended, because those are his fucking allies. Of course it's not odd. He defended Ann Coulter. Ann Coulter said like insanely anti-Semitic shit. And Ben Shapiro very famously, I always go back to that tweet, said, Ann Coulter defends Israel, so I don't care if she's saying anti-Semitic things. There you go. That's it. Also, I think he has lip filler.
Memorabilia, plus a garden full of statues of the 20th century's worst despots. He said that he's filled his property with these mementos because he hates communism and fascism. Well, I mean, that seems like a reason why you might own this stuff is to remember the things that you hate. That's it. But apparently this makes him an...
Yeah. Henry Ford kept his Nazi medal and copies Nazi medal that he got from Adolf Hitler and protocols of the elders of Zion around him to remind himself of the evil of Nazism. That's why he had pamphlets also printed out and handed off to everyone to, again, remind both himself, before this even, came to fruition completely, but to remind himself and others how bad the fascist ideologies are. Wait, didn't you ban a guy for revealing the bank shooting? What do you mean? Reveal? No, I banned a guy for saying some
Nazi
unhinged shit.
And a communist.
Anyway. So that's cool. This story is also insane, but completely predictable, completely mask off. When we say that these guys who are in control of our institutions, whether it be the fucking governor's office, I mean, and when we say that they're white supremacists, I mean it. This is a perfect demonstration of this reality. Okay? That's it. There's no two ways about it. There's no way to get around it. It's just the truth. I don't know why the fuck people try to hide it. I don't know what the fuck the reason is, but here is what happened. Last year, we covered this briefly in Texas. There was a guy who drove into a crowd of Black Lives Matter protesters and then shot someone. Okay? he was, he was investigated. He was found guilty. And the Texas governor now is saying, or has said, as soon as it lands on my desk, I am going to pardon him. Let's take a look.
Governor Greg Abbott is pushing the state's parole board to recommend a pardon for a U.S. Army sergeant convicted of murder. On Friday, Daniel Perry was convicted of killing a protester during a Black Lives Matter rally back in 2020. He says he fired his weapon in self-defense after he says protesters surrounded his car as he drove through downtown Nashville. His lawyers argue he had the right to open fire after one demonstrator, he says, raised an assault rifle at him. CNN's Camila Bernal joins us now with the latest. Camila, very unusual case to see a governor weigh in so soon, right after this whole matter was adjudicated in court.
Yeah, this is not over, but Governor Greg Abbott is pointing to self-defense, pointing to standard ground laws in Texas. And look, there are some in conservative media that have been encouraging the governor to pardon Perry, and even Kyle Rittenhouse has been very vocal on Twitter.
I just don't understand, why he felt insecure that there were other guns around. Almost like this is exactly what I said at the time, which was relevant then and is relevant now, that more guns equals less safety. And that, bringing guns to protests is not a good idea in general. Obviously, the guy who got shot doesn't deserve it. Don't misunderstand me. But, that is what happens when there are more guns. That guy seemed to be very interested in getting a fucking kill out of the situation regardless. So let's continue.
Was acquitted after he shot and killed 2 people in Kenosha, Wisconsin during protests there. He's been asking for money for the legal defense. He says he knows what this is all about. On the other hand, the Travis County District Attorney speaking out recently and saying that this is very troubling, and saying that in the legal world, it is a jury, not a governor, who gets to decide this. That's a statement that we got from Jose Garza of Travis County very recently. Now, in terms of the case, what happened here was in 2020 in Austin, Texas. Daniel Perry is driving for a rideshare company, and he gets to the area where all the protesters are. The key here is that he encounters Garrett Foster, who was 28 years old at the time. He was carrying an AK-47, and Perry's defense says that Foster held up or was trying to essentially raise that AK-47, and that's when Perry felt that his life was in jeopardy. He shot and killed Foster, who you see there on your screen. So yes, this is political. This is also, in terms of what happens next, part of the legal process. Because look, Perry has not been sentenced. He has not appealed his conviction. So this is really not over. And the family of Garrett Foster reacting after that verdict on Friday. Here is his father.
Just like to say we're thankful for the legal team that represented us and the jury, and we're happy with the verdict. We very sorry for his family as well. There's no winners in this, and just glad it's over.
Now, Governor Greg Abbott is asking for this process to go quickly, to be expedited. We'll see what happens. Of course, there is going to be a lot of opposition on the side of the DA and those who are really trying to support the Foster family through all of this, Jim.
So let's discuss this very unusual case with former federal prosecutor Michael Zeldin. Michael, good to see you. What is your reaction to Governor Abbott's announcement that he is working to pardon this man just one day after he was convicted of murder? As Camila was saying a few moments ago, he hasn't even been sentenced yet.
That's right. And you have to understand the context of this.
What's important here, I don't know why the fuck CNN is not bringing this shit up. There is so much extra information that they're basically not mentioning. There's also even interrogation footage that I kind of wanted to watch. But yeah, he was convicted and found guilty because he sent multiple texts to friends prior to it, explicitly saying he was going to kill BLM protesters by provoking them and then claiming self-defense. He literally fucking said that he was looking for a confirmed kill, something along those lines. That's you don't get in the Texas courts, you don't get a fucking guilty, you don't get like a guilty sentencing when you're, unless you have like a premeditated fucking kill that you very openly were talking about. Let's look at some of the, Perry, U.S. Army sergeant who was driving for Uber at the time. By the way, shot and killed 28-year-old Garrett Foster. Isn't Garrett Foster also a fucking veteran? Why don't they ever mention that? Like, what the fuck? If you're like pro BLM, it doesn't matter. Like, if you die, your veteran status like doesn't fucking mean anything. It's so strange. Okay? Like, why the fuck is Vice News covering it like this? You're not going to fucking mention that the guy who he shot and killed is also a fucking veteran? Anyway. Yeah. Perry's lawyer said during the trial that a crowd swarmed him and he feared for his life because Foster was holding an AK-47, that Perry ultimately acted in self-defense under the Texas Stand Your Ground statute. But evidence presented during the trial refuted Perry's claims and included private messages and social posts where he seemingly fantasized about having the opportunity to kill people. I might have to kill a few people on my way to work. They are rioting outside my apartment complex, Perry wrote to a friend in June 2020, a month before he killed Foster. Remember, Kyle Rittenhouse did this exact same shit, but he got away with it. In another message, Perry wrote, I might go to Dallas to shoot looters. The case was reminiscent of the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, who killed 2 protesters later that year during an uprising in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Unlike Rittenhouse, however, Perry was actually found guilty of murder Friday, following a week of deliberations. In Texas, that can carry a sentence of anywhere from 5 years to life in prison. Rittenhouse himself, Fox News host Tucker Carlson, immediately began lobbying Abbott to pardon Perry. This is a legal atrocity, they said. You want to know why they said that? Because they want this shit to be legal. That's it. They want premeditated murder to be legal. That's it. There's no other reason. He went and he killed a BLM protester. He openly stated that he wanted to kill a Black Lives Matter protester, a veteran as well, by the way. Not that it matters in this circumstance because he was on the wrong side of politics. Less than 24 hours after Perry was convicted and before he was even sentenced, Abbott said in a Saturday statement he'd moved to pardon Perry, saying Texas's Stand Your Ground law cannot be nullified by a jury or progressive district attorney. How the fuck do you not get mad at this? I don't know what to say even. Abbott said that he requested the state board overseeing pardons to consider recommending a pardon for Perry and that I look forward to approving the board's pardon recommendation as soon as it hits my desk. Abbott said he also wants to prioritize reining in rogue district attorneys, ostensibly a reference to Travis County District Attorney Jose Garza, whose office brought the case against Perry. Remember, these are the people who are saying DAs are letting violent criminals get away. Fascists don't care. They want their guys to be able to be above the law, their kind of violence, and their kind of fascist acts of violence to be above the law, that they can get away with it. They just don't want the other side to be able to do anything, okay? They want life in prison for fucking minor shit while they simultaneously fantasize about, letting people who are murderers in cold blood roam free in the fucking streets, okay? Garrett Foster's partner, Whitney Mitchell. Oh, by the way, this part is really important. If I remember correctly, because I remember covering this when it happened, Whitney Mitchell is in a wheelchair. And part of the process that is important, Whitney Mitchell is Garrett Foster's partner. She's a black woman. She's in a wheelchair. She's wheelchair bound. I don't know if that's the ableist term. Sorry. The reason why I'm mentioning that this is important is because he was literally pushing her, if I'm not mistaken. And he was worried that his girlfriend in a wheelchair was about to get fucking hit. Okay? Yeah, she was in a wheelchair that night from what I recall. Yeah, of course she was. She's like isn't she, I don't even think she has legs. I think she's amputee. The governor has immediately taken that away since he announced there are 2 legal systems in Texas, one for those with power like Mr. Perry and one for everyone else. There's a quadruple amputee. Abbott, who is in his 3rd term and 9th year as governor, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Recommend pardoning. In 2021, the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles recommended pardoning George Floyd posthumously for a minor drug conviction from 2004, for which Floyd had been convicted based on a testimony of a Houston cop who had later been found to have repeatedly fabricated evidence. But Abbott did not grant that pardon. And then the following year, the same board recommended against the pardon unanimously. So he wouldn't even give a symbolic posthumous pardon to George Floyd when the cop that fucking got him guilty of a charge was literally lying repeatedly for fabricated evidence. That's it. There's nothing you need to know any more than this. After hearing from civilian eyewitnesses and expert witnesses and deliberating for over 15 hours, the jury reached a unanimous decision that Daniel Perry did not kill Garrett Foster in self-defense and was guilty of murder beyond a reasonable doubt. All right, if you want to be more pissed, here you go. Protesters allege Austin police dumped quadruple amputee activist Whitney Mitchell out of her wheelchair. The fiancée of Garrett Foster was attending a police brutality protest. You want to understand how the fucking law works. That's how it fucking works. I'm not going to lie. It is... Texas is dog shit in general. But, I mean, this is somehow even more dog shit by Texas standards. Like, it never ceases to shock me how fucking awful red states can sometimes be. Or just the American criminal justice system in general. It is violent. It's awful. Its mistreatment of marginalized groups is deliberate, systematic, disgusting, unacceptable, and yet it continues. Obviously, there is no fucking party of law and order. That's not real. The law and order is simply a dog whistle to justify doing whatever kind of brutality to marginalized communities and legitimizing that. Oh.
Sergeant Perry is 70 miles away from his base, driving around in a Uber car of some sort. He encounters these protesters, and rather than turn around and leave, he drives his car into the middle of them. And you can't forget Charlottesville, where people were killed by a car doing the exact same thing. So as he's approached by the victim, instead of, again, leaving the scene as he could have, he opens fire on him. The jury deliberates 17 hours, Jim, over an 8-day trial, and they convict him of murder. They reject his right to defend himself defense. And Governor Abbott should let the jury's verdict stand. There's no basis in law or fact for this, so it therefore smacks of politics, because this was a Black Lives Matter protest.
That is exactly what it is.
That context.
Because what Governor Greg Abbott is saying is that if you go to a fucking Black Lives Matter rally and you shoot people there, that's a good thing. That's what he is saying. Abbott, Greg Abbott, whatever, shut up. That's the point. That's why Florida passed the fucking kill protesters, you can run them over law. There were a bunch of states that pushed it even before Charlottesville and even after Charlottesville. Okay? Anyway, in Seattle, we had the brother of a cop drive his car into a protest and shot someone. Literally nothing happened to him. Shit happens in blue states too. Yeah, I mean, cops are above the law. Cops' family members are above the law. Meanwhile, liberals fucking lose their shit.
I know this is a really stressful time. Oh my God, he's dead. Oh God.
Footage of Daniel Perry's police interview after he killed Garrett Foster was played in the courtroom during his murder trial.
I'm sorry, I'm a detective. Come in here.
Former Austin police homicide detective David Fugit was the one to conduct the interview with Perry. In it, Detective Fugit had Perry demonstrate how Foster carried his rifle.
How high did that barrel come up? We have power about right there. Okay, was it aimed at you? I believe it was aimed at, I believe he was going to aim it at me. I didn't want to give him a chance to aim at me, you know?
And then what Perry did while he was sitting in the driver's seat.
Hello, Chelsea.
It's like a big gun rush.
Bro, you mean a little fortunate loser that probably went straight in the protesters looking for trouble? Brother, he openly said it. He said it. I didn't want to give him a chance to aim, by the way, is enough. Paired up with the fact that he said he wanted to fucking kill people at a BLM protest. Like, what do you want? What the fuck more do you want? Why was this man doing Uber rides with a loaded assault rifle in the car? I wonder why he texted, posted on social media about how he wants to kill Black Lives Matter protesters and then was driving around directly in the vicinity of a Black Lives Matter protest with a loaded assault rifle in his car. I guess he was just, he was just trying to fucking do his job, right? Yeah. Fucking scumbag.
I don't want to get shot, so.
Perry said he shot 5 times. He believes the whole encounter was less than 15 seconds.
Where did you shoot it? Still not masked.
Sometime after the interview, Perry called Detective Fugit to find out more information for his lawyer, reiterating that he was scared but, quote, felt bad.
He was a person. I feel bad, I just wish to tell it differently, I honestly did not want him to die. All I wanted to do was to incapacitate.
Oh, at the expense of getting dogpiled, he had a Glock. Sorry, we didn't have an assault rifle. He had a Glock or some other concealed carry gun. Doesn't take away from him being a piece of shit. Regardless, he fucking said it doesn't matter if he has a fucking Glock on him. That's insane too. But unfortunately for Texas, it's normal. But hey, guess what? This is what happens when it is normal. That's the whole point. That's why we fucking talk about how it's insane that you could just like carry a loaded fucking weapon on your belt or in your car that you could just like pull out and shoot someone with. The guy got shot, flagged him with an AK. Yeah, it doesn't, dude. You can say whatever the fuck you want, okay? Ooh, big scary gun. He's got an AK-47. Motherfucker, the entire point of like an armed society is a polite society is that an armed society is supposed to be a polite society. You can't turn around and be like, well, okay, now I'm scared. If we find out that you are, I don't know, protesting Black Lives Matter, I get to kill you for free? Like, that's insane. You can't have it both ways, which, by the way, fascists are. And the fucking guy said the victim had the gun not fucking aiming at him. He said, I didn't want to give him a chance to shoot me. Fuck. Yeah, he said, I didn't want to give him a chance to point it at me. That's what he said. I want to see more of this. I want to see more of this footage, the interview footage, and the shit that they showed in court. One thing that Perry kept mentioning throughout the videos and recordings that he was texting a woman and driving. He adds he was not paying attention. That's one of the reasons why he accidentally drove in the crowd of protesters. The state presented those messages between him and the woman. The woman was a passenger he picked up for working for Uber earlier in the night. She asked him for $200 for the hangout, to which he declined. Pamela Mazak, an APT crime analyst, was called to stand to break down her analysis of Perry's Uber and cell phone location records from the night of July 25th, 2020. She said that last text Perry received or sent out was 2 minutes before he entered the intersection with the protesters. The defense argues that Perry was not in the downtown area between the hours of 7:40 and 9:30 p.m. The incident happened around 9:51. The state presented a Facebook post to Perry's. He wrote, "Send them to Texas. We will show them why we say don't mess with Texas." The comment was in reference to a different post about protesters and looters in another state. Might have to kill a few people, and other texts that suggest Daniel Perry intended to commit murder at the Black Lives Matter demonstration. Look at the difference between the Austin Chronicle and even fucking Vice News, by the way, and the way that they cover this shit. Austin Chronicle openly states Garrett Foster was a 28-year-old Air Force veteran openly carrying an AK-47 across his chest, approached the car. The driver's side window opened, and Perry shot Foster 4 times in the chest and abdomen. Perry turned himself into Austin police seconds later, claiming he shot in self-defense after Foster raised the barrel of his gun. Austin Police Department officers questioned Perry and let him go. Garza presented the case to a Travis County grand jury shortly after taking office in 2021. The grand jury indicted Perry for murder and assault. The testimony confirming Perry's anger towards protesters came on the third day of the trial as prosecutors displayed text messages and social media comments showing that he thought about killing them. "I might have to kill a few people on my way to work. They are rioting outside my apartment complex," Perry wrote to a friend in June of 2020. "I might go to Dallas to shoot looters," he wrote in another occasion. Perry also encouraged violence in a variety of social media posts. In addition, Perry speculated about how he might get away with such a killing by claiming self-defense, as he is now doing. Prosecutors presented a Facebook Messenger chat between Perry and a friend, Michael Holcomb, which occurred 2 weeks before he shot Foster. In it, Perry argued that shooting protesters was legal if it wasn't self-defense. And Governor Greg Abbott said that's exactly what is the case. If you shoot a Black Lives Matter protester, it is in self-defense, and I will free you. Even if a jury of your peers decide that you are guilty in a unanimous decision. How fucking insane that, like, the otherwise insanely right-wing judicial system, the courts in the state of motherfucking Texas, found this man guilty of killing someone, okay, murder, first-degree murder, and the governor was like, nah. Holcomb, who was called to stand Wednesday afternoon, seemed to try to talk Perry down. "Aren't you a CDL holder too?" he asked, referring to the men's license to carry concealed handguns. "We went through the same training. Shooting after creating an event where you have to shoot is not a good shoot." None of this seeming premeditation was on display after Perry turned himself to APD officers. In his 911 call, Perry claims that he drove into the protesters by mistake after taking a wrong turn. Body camera video played the next day shows Perry, after being taken into custody, telling officers Foster had pointed his gun at him. "I didn't know he was going to aim it at me," Perry says. "I thought he was going to kill me. I've never been so scared in my life." This claim that Foster raised the barrel of his AK-47 is, of course, Perry's principal hope to escape a murder conviction. It was refuted over and over during the first 3 days of the trial by witnesses who were near Foster that night. All repeated a version of the same story. They heard squealing tires as a car sped into a group of about 20 protesters. The protesters, some of whom who had almost been hit by the car, slapped and kicked it. Garrett Foster strode to the car side and issued an order to the driver. All the witnesses insisted that Foster did not raise the barrel of his gun. According to the DA's lead prosecutor, Guillermo Gonzalez, his gun was recovered with the safety still on and no bullet in the chamber. The courtroom where the trial is unfolding is less than a mile from where Foster died. It has been packed through the first week with family members and young people who protested alongside Foster and his fiancée, Whitney Mitchell. Foster's family sits. Whitney Mitchell is Foster's fiancée, or was Foster's fiancée, who is quadriplegic and was in a wheelchair on scene. The reason why this is relevant is because Foster was like literally pushing her around and probably was in fear of her safety due to her lack of mobility because she was in a fucking wheelchair on the street during a Black Lives Matter protest as a car was clearly trying to drive into the Black Lives Matter protest. Foster's family sits in the front row on the right side of the courtroom. His mother, Sheila, has wept as pictures of her son's dead body are displayed and attorneys reenact his killing. Perry's parents, visibly worried, sit behind him in the front row, the left side of the courtroom. He sits beside his attorneys, Clint Broden and Doug O'Connell, wearing a dark-colored suit, his hair buzzed close, and his face dipping down. There you go. Make no mistake. Greg Abbott is pardoning him because he thinks it's good that it happened. There is no law and order. None of these people actually care about law and order. It just means like getting our way. Getting our fucking way. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Peace.